Hello everyone, I'm Guo Yan. Welcome to this video. In this video, I mainly want to talk to you about how I put together my current audio system. Maybe you all have your own audio setup at your desk, or at least a pair of speakers. The purpose? Well, maybe sometimes you want to listen to some music, or maybe watch some videos. Or maybe you use it for work. Like during online meetings, you can use it too. If the speakers on your workstation are a bit nicer and you listen to them a lot, it's actually worth it, even if they're pretty cheap. If you buy something and don't use it, that's just a waste. But if you buy something expensive and use it every day, then it's not a waste, because what you use is truly yours, right? As for my desktop audio system, about a year ago, I thought I should get something better and stop settling for just anything. But as you can see from my desk, just look at it. There's really not that much space. It's not tiny, but it's definitely not big either. Plus, my speakers are close enough that I can actually touch them. So I'm listening to these speakers in a super near field setup, and at this distance, it's not suitable to get really big speakers either. It's not really the best fit, right? Maybe we'll have a chance to talk more about this topic together some other time. So yeah. So when I was choosing new speakers, it suddenly occurred to me that I wanted to buy a pair of DSP speakers with digital input. Why? Because over the past 10 years, when testing audio equipment, I noticed there's a category of products that's only going to get more and more popular in the future. That is, well, speakers with built-in DSP. Besides the fact that they're really all-in-one and reduce the number of devices you need, their sound performance has been steadily and noticeably improving. But DSP speakers have a particular feature. All analog audio signals that go into the speakers will definitely be converted to digital before being processed. Otherwise, how would the DSP work? Some people actually don't really like that the signal gets converted to digital again at the speaker stage, especially if they've already spent a lot of money on a high-end DAC to convert digital signals to analog, and then feed that analog signal into the speakers, only for it to be converted back to digital again. But if you think about it, since a pair of DSP speakers must process everything digitally inside anyway, then why can't they just accept digital input? Actually, some do, especially those made for studio use. Many of those will have digital inputs. So if I buy a pair of DSP speakers with digital input, the digital signal can go straight into the speaker, get processed digitally, and then be amplified. That single signal path is really quite short, and the shorter the signal path is, the less distortion you tend to get under limited resources. Plus, my audio source here is just one, the computer. I don't have vinyl records, I don't have any other streaming devices or anything else like that. The computer's audio output is also just one format, which is digital. So I think that buying a nice pair of DSP active speakers seems like a pretty interesting and promising direction to go in. Well, those really high-end DSP speakers like Grimm, Dutch & Dutch, Key Audio, those are actually really great. But first of all, they don't come in such small sizes, and secondly, they're way over my budget. Then moving on to those big studio brands like Genelec, Adam, Barefoot, Neumann, and so on. There are actually a lot of good options. But I was also thinking about getting DSP speakers with digital inputs, and I had basically already decided to go with Dynaudio because I've tried their flagship Core series, the biggest three-way model, and I really think, for the price, it really suits my taste. So what did I do? Even though I hadn't tried them yet, I went ahead and bought this pair from their Core series, the smallest model in their DSP speaker lineup with digital input, which is the Core 5. The Core 5 has a 5-inch midwoofer. Basically, among similar products, it's really hard to find anything smaller than this. Well, it's not exactly cheap, but it fits within my budget, so I decided to buy this pair of speakers. Because this is the smallest model, the box is actually much smaller. For all studio monitors, they're all sold individually. When you see the price, unless it specifically says it's for a pair, otherwise it's just for one. So you have to buy them one by one. And there's actually a funny story about that, but I'll save that for a future live stream to share with you all. Alright, this is the real unboxing now. There's a manual, and there are these 4 pads, which are for placing under the speakers. It's a bit too stiff and far away. It's hard for me to describe that texture. There's a European power cable which isn't suitable for use here. Speaker. This size makes sense. So the speaker looks like this. The tweeter has a cover to protect it, that's all. But if the tweeter has a cover, why doesn't the mid-bass have one? Because the edge of the mid-bass sticks out too, right? Anyway, whatever. The plastic pieces from earlier can be used, and you can also use them to pad the sides. And you can see the screw holes here. They're the Walmart type, so you can hang it on the wall or from the ceiling if you want. You can place it on the top, on the bottom, or even at the back. just like we talked about before in episode 5 or 9, so I don't need to go over it again, right? Okay, that's it for the unboxing. Alright, so the digital input for the speaker is AES3. AES3 only supports PCM, up to 24-bit, 192 kHz. For hi-fi enthusiasts, they might say, hey, I wanted to handle 768 kHz, 32-bit, or DSD up to 512, and so on. But actually, in the world of production and recording, the specs do not need to keep changing. For me, in this context, I really do not need the specs to keep changing. But the issue comes when the computer. For this core speaker, what exactly is the device that acts as the bridge in between? Because besides connecting to the computer and converting the computer's audio signal into an AES3 signal, I also need an interface to control the volume. So I took a look at my own equipment, and actually I have this Mutech MC3 Plus USB. I've already owned it for almost 8 or 9 years now. Although I don't need to use the MC3 Plus USB anymore in my larger audio system, in this current situation, it's actually perfect for me. Because it has a USB interface, it can connect directly to the computer, and it also supports computer volume control. So as long as I can control the computer's volume, that's good enough for me. Plus, it has a reclocking function, which means that even if the signal coming from the computer has a lot of noise or jitter, it will basically isolate that for you, since its USB is asynchronous transmission. And inside, what is it exactly? It's a reclocker, a device with a washing function. So for digital signals that aren't very clean, in theory, it will tidy them up for you. It reduces jitter, that is digital timing distortion, and then cleans up the signal before outputting it again as a digital output. At the back, after the mute switch, there's an XLR AES3 output, but there's only one of them, so I connected it to the left speaker. The daisy chain method is just a single digital cable that can go to either the left or right speaker. The speaker lets you set which one is left and which is right, and then there's also a loop out, an AES3 loop out, so you can connect your system in a daisy chain, like a human centipede. Basically, there's no latency, so you don't have to worry about any delay between the left and right channels. That won't happen. Of course, I guess maybe the jitter would be a bit higher, so that's why I would prefer to have the MC3 output 2 AES3 cables, one to the left speaker and one to the right. But here's the problem. My MC3 only has one XLR AES3 output, so how can I split it into two? Actually, this MC3 Plus USB from Mutech does have 2 AES3 outputs, but one of them is a BNC output. So I went and bought a Nutric transformer. On one side, it has a BNC connector for 75 ohm input, and on the other side, it has an XLR connector for 110 ohm output. So by using this adapter, I can convert it to an XLR AES3 signal and send it to the right speaker. As for my current hardware setup, I only have a pair of Dynadio Core 51 speakers, and then a Mutech MC3 Plus USB. That's it. It's really that simple. There are absolutely no speaker cables, no amplifier, and no DAC involved at all. The entire signal path is fully digital. It's a completely full digital signal path from start to finish. So how does it sound? Well, it's extremely clean, and the detail and resolution are very high. You can hear everything clearly. That's the most important thing for me. And that's for the dynamics of these speakers, considering how small they are, I think they perform pretty well. When I watch Netflix or movies, just with a simple 2.0 setup, it still feels quite impactful and impressive. As for the tone, honestly, there isn't a lot of coloration, but you can always tweak the tone with your speakers. I've made a few adjustments myself to get the tonal balance I like, but this kind? With a full digital signal path system, it doesn't add its own coloration like tube amps or certain other audio equipment. There's very little of that. It's just really, really clean, clear, accurate, and neutral. I love you. No matter how long it takes, you'll always understand the atmosphere I try to create. These days, people have changed their tune. They say that in front of the law, the poor get screwed. like a lot of people do. Because it just so happens that this MC3 Plus USB is a reclocker, and at the same time, it also has 4 sets of word clock outputs. The Dyner Audio Core 5, well, the entire Core series has this feature. Each speaker has a BNC word clock input to receive the word clock signal. So what is a word clock signal? It's basically the timing signal for the audio you're listening to. If the signal is 44.1 kHz, then the word clock will send out a 44.1 kHz signal. If you switch to playing a 96 kHz track, then the word clock will switch to 96 kHz. Basically, what is a word clock? In a digital system, it acts like a conductor, setting the tempo for the entire orchestra or the whole audio system. If you can synchronize all their timing, then that's what we call very good. So what I need to do is buy a BNC cable. That's the industry standard. I'll get a semi cable and the center wires shouldn't be too long. Also, when I buy them now, I make sure all the cables are the same length. That's just my own requirement. After connecting everything with a BNC cable, the master clock will become the conductor for my entire audio playback system, synchronizing everything. Alright, honestly, I think many users have already said this. If you give it a good clock, there's a noticeable difference, like in high-end movies. The sound is more organized, resolution improves, just like I mentioned. And after adding the clock, everything gets a further boost. The MC3 Plus USB can also accept an external 10 MHz reference, or use a word clock as a reference, which can make it even better. But that's a topic for another time. Maybe I'll talk about it later, whether to add a 10 MHz clock and all that. Because right now in my system, the biggest weakness is that my current volume control is just the computer's volume control. As long as it's not set to maximum, and I never set it to maximum, the dynamic range will be reduced. Normally, I only listen at about half volume, so the dynamic range gets smaller, because with digital volume, say you have 24 bits, that's 144 dB, right? Basically, as you keep turning down the volume, your dynamic range drops from 144 dB, getting less and less. That means the sound you hear will have less and less dynamic range, because the noise floor stays the same. I know this is a problem, so in my mind, I do feel a bit uneasy about it, but personally, I think it's acceptable. Actually, the volume controls on most keyboards, those media keys, can also control the whole system's volume, but I found myself a Bluetooth one. A physical knob can be used to control the volume. That's pretty much it. So this is my desktop audio system. There are still a lot of other bits and pieces, because besides using this computer to listen to audio, I also use this computer system for recording, live streaming, and making videos. But I feel like not everyone needs that. Not everyone does recording, so I didn't specifically talk about it. For example, what mouse I use, what keyboard, or this gadget here. If this video gets 500 likes, I'll make another one about it, okay? Of course. Actually, well, feversound.com in 2026, one of the changes I think we'll make is that our video content will be more diverse. Besides product reviews, there will be more tutorial videos, and also some personal sharing from us. Alright, thanks everyone for watching this video. I hope you'll leave comments and give us feedback, so we know what kind of videos we should make for you.